I think most of us have kinda lost our trust in Marvel in the past half decade, but if they keep making movies like this, we might be back. Hey YouTube, what's up? I'm Young Zave, and I just got back from watching Thunderbolts, and I'm not gonna lie, I can finally get excited about MCU movies again. Look, it's no secret, the MCU has been in a bit of a decline since Endgame came out. And I know that there have been some TV shows, there's been a couple hit and misses. I did watch WandaVision, for example, and I actually loved WandaVision. But I could not care less about any of the other TV shows that have come out. I didn't watch Hawkeye, I didn't watch She-Hulk. I did see Deadpool and Wolverine, which I thought was a pretty decent film. It was pretty much just fan service, the movie. The whole multiverse thing, obviously it does make sense from a comic standpoint. You know, you're able to tell stories across different universes, do different what ifs. I think I'm just exhausted by this idea of bringing back versions of the same character or the same actor. But I think what Thunderbolts does here is it gives us these characters, and it's not giving us a new version of these, ragtag misfits that have been, overlooked anti-heroes that are, past their glory days. They're not giving us a different version of the characters. They're actually taking us through the journey of these characters who are broken and bringing all these broken characters together in a way that it doesn't feel forced, although in terms of the narrative, they are forced into a room together, but it's for the purpose of getting rid of them. But they all sort of share this one common thread of rejection. All of them have lost something, or they have lost someone, they may have lost their purpose. And that is what bonds them together. And, it is a sort of reluctant process as well. They don't want to be there, but it's necessary. They need each other to survive at this current moment. And then a larger problem, puts the stakes on the story, and that sort of threads them all together. Thunderbolts is the movie that could bring me back to Marvel. I think that this movie, it takes us to somewhere that Marvel doesn't go very often. Most of the time when we have an enemy in an MCU movie, it's an external force. It's space wizards, it's aliens, it's a catastrophic natural disaster, or whatever it is. This movie, the enemy is the mind. It's the struggle to control your emotions. It's something very real, and obviously, we've got the superhero skin on top of it, but it's a daily struggle that most of the world deals with, Everyone's got their personal traumas, everyone's got their battles that they deal with, and at the end of the day, it's about how do we find ways and strategies to push forward and turn that negative energy into something productive. And I think that this film, it does a good job of sort of weaponizing that thought process and giving us something that doesn't glorify, the negative sides of mental health because it makes you a superhero and whatnot. Like, we've seen a lot of those stories where, this person is broken, they've received all this trauma and they've got these amazing superpowers because of it. The trauma gave them powers. But this doesn't do that. I think this movie, it was a very interesting take on the superhero narrative. I really like Florence Pugh's performance. I think she's honestly one of the best in the game right now in mainstream media. In the big Hollywood blockbusters, she doesn't necessarily have the typical superhero look, but she delivers such emotionally rich performances. She's got great facial expressions, and she's actually killer with the Russian accent. I'm not gonna lie, she does a pretty good job. She's quite convincing, and that stunt at the start of the movie, crazy. You have to watch the behind the scenes. It's actually nuts that she for real jumped off this building. You know what I'm saying? Real Tom Cruise-esque performance with jumping off the building. Anyway, David Harbour, also enjoyed him. Obviously, he was the comic relief character as Alexei. What's his name? Captain Russia or something? Let me just check. David Harbour as the Red Guardian. He is the comic relief character. You know what the interesting thing is? A lot of the comedy felt a little bit forced into every single time he said something. But ironically, it worked. I laughed at pretty much everything Red Guardian said, even though sometimes I felt like he's trying a bit hard to be funny. And Red Guardian, he just had punchlines, man, and I definitely enjoyed it. Of Sentry, who has been manipulated. He's a good guy who, you know, has a bit of a broken mind state. You know, he's suffering with, you know, different things like, you know, anxiety, depression. He's suffering with different things like, you know, and the thing is, he at the beginning, I guess maybe can't control it, but he very quickly learns to control his powers. The only thing is, he struggles to control his mind, and that leaves him susceptible to manipulation. Like, bro, look, I'm sitting in the theater, and when Sentinel uses his powers for the first time and just turns like the first person into a shadow, and they just turn into a mist of smoke. Actually, they don't even turn into a mist of smoke. They just disappear, just blank, and they're just like a shadow on the ground. That was terrifying, bro, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, is this person just erased from absolute existence, or have they been taken to the shadow realm? You don't know at first, right? And then you start seeing important people get taken out, and yo, when this dude took the kid, I don't even know what you call it, killing the kid, taking the kid, when he disappears the kid, I was like, oh my gosh. And it's funny because they make it very on the nose. I'll be honest, it's very on the nose that his whole sort of superpower is kind of like depression. His superpower is straight depression, right? Which sounds quite ironic, but that's what it is. The thing is, he's so extremely overpowered. His powers represent essentially like the gripping, constraining, and terror of, you know, of the mind, of going to those dark places. And he misinterprets, and Sentry, he misinterprets Yelena's words when she says, you know, sort of, I'm paraphrasing here, like to embrace the darkness. And he fully embraces the darkness because he thinks, oh, my solution to this struggle with, you know, these things going on in my mind is to embrace them, to let them take over me, and then it can't harm me anymore. But no, that he did not take that. He took, actually, and I guess it's because Yelena was in a tough place herself, you know, still struggling with the loss of her sister. And she's given this ill advice to somebody who is very vulnerable, but secretly powerful himself. So it was, but yeah, it was just funny that the solution to defeating the greatest, scariest, indestructible enemy, anti-hero that we've seen was through the power of friendship. The power of friendship overcame depression. No, it's a good little message. I think it was packaged in a pretty nice and creative way. I think that Thunderbolts, you know, it gives a little bit of that Guardians of the Galaxy feel, you know, because they're the slightly off-center, like unsanitized version of what a superhero group is. And Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, that's the outer space one. But Thunderbolts, it's interesting because it seems like it hits that similar ballpark with the ragtag crew, but it definitely feels grounded in a more like human story. And I think that's an aspect of the Thunderbolts that I really like, is that it feels like a grounded version of Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, they made Thunderbolts the new Avengers. I think it's a cool idea, you know, with the branding. The branding is all kind of silly and ironic, and I like that from the Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is like the ironic Avengers, and I'm here for it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know my thoughts were a little bit all over the place, but I just want to try out a new format, you know. I think doing movie reviews straight out the cinema, where I'm still gathering my thoughts, you know, it's a nice natural way to get, you know, my first reaction out. So I just wanted to give that to you guys. If you want to see some more film reviews, reactions and whatnot, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to try get to them. I'm going to try post some more videos. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.